Nancy. We are on YouTube now doing our Dharma Talk. So if you like having conversation, real talk about yoga and yoga philosophy, click follow below or subscribe below so that you can tune into our weekly chats.
And please don't forget to leave us some comments. We want to know how things resonate with you and what's going on in your lives. And it'll probably lead us to more conversations next time, next week.
Yeah.
So once a week, every week, we're going to put a new Dharma Talk, Circle Up, on our YouTube channel. And you can listen to it as many times as you wish.
Yeah, and guys, if you are enjoying our Dharma Talks, check out our classes. Go to www.yogawithjennyandnancy.com. We have our class schedule that is live up there, as well as a platform with classes on demand for you to take anytime that you want to take them at your own convenience.
So cool. Yay.
Yeah.
All right, so this week's Dharma Talk is about Be the One. And I'm going to read this little quote from a poem by Gabriela Mistral. 3 simple lines that I chose. Where there is a tree to plant, you be the one. Where there is a mistake to undo, let it be you who undoes it. You be the one to remove the rock from the field, the hate from human hearts, and the difficulties from the problem. And that really jumped out to me in context of sort of our social, political environment these days. I had some friends who were telling me that in a month, when on election, they are getting out of the city. They're concerned about the reactions and the anger, and people are just like poised for a fight. Another friend told me that she's just uncomfortable with all the signs and paraphernalia individuals have in their yard. And it sort of dawned to me when I listened to this quote that the best way for us to sort of diffuse or disarm the situation is to become humans. To be a person instead of a flag or a sign in the yard, but to be a person like, oh, I recognize that lady. She spoke to me when she was walking her dog. Or to do something nice for someone that is just totally unexpected, whether you're at the grocery store and you see somebody struggling, but become human to others. And I tied it into our email about the generation of swiping left. It's easy to reject someone if you don't know them as a person. Where I would never swipe Jenny left because I know her and I love her. And I would hope you wouldn't swipe us left, but you'd listen to us and get a chance to know us. Whether you believe the same things we do or not, it's just a matter of disarming with a little bit of love and kindness, planting a tree, removing the rock, the obstacle, whatever it is. And that was sort of my thought process for our messaging this week.
Yeah, and I think in another way that is a tangible practice of that is even just as simple as when you go to the grocery store, if there's a rogue cart in the middle of the parking lot, just to push that cart into the little area that it needs to go. Or if you see a piece of trash on the ground, you pick up that piece of trash and, make sure you wear a glove or make sure you have hand sanitizer on you. But it's more or less like leading by example and treating people how you want to be treated. Just going back to that simple purpose that I know that I was taught by my parents as a kid was like, always treat somebody how you want to be treated. And I think right now is a really important time to talk about like relationship and interaction and what it means to actually be a good listener. I think so many times we sit down to hear somebody's story and we're not listening deeply because we're already jumping on like, what do we want to say to them? What do we want to share with them? And I think in the power of listening, we're able to hear something for what it is without painting a different story with our own opinion around it. And that can be a very powerful tool, not only for you as an individual, but even for the person who is speaking. So not only for the listener, but it can be a very healing thing for the speaker as well. And Nancy was saying, looking at people as humans, and right now in our culture, in our society, when we go out on the street or in the town, or we're going to a restaurant, or we're going to the grocery store, we're seeing everybody with these face masks on. People aren't making eye contact with others. People aren't smiling at other people. They're not speaking to other people. And it's kind of dehumanizing us in a way that we forget that human and adult and social interaction is a part of our DNA. It's a part of who we are as human beings, and we need that. So coming from a place of love and coming from a place of empathy, being able to be empathetic and to be a good listener and to just be a kind individual on the planet is so needed right now.
I can't say that enough. Just to spread a little act of kindness, to genuinely care about someone. I think the other thing that creates more isolation is we all walk around with our ear pods in our ears. And I know I love to listen to music too, but every once in a while, when you're walking down the street, take your ear pods out and maybe you do pause and listen to a neighbor. Hey, how are you? What's been happening? And you have a conversation, because when you walk by these people and someone's got their ear pods in, there's no interaction. Everybody's keeping their head down. And if we look up and look in one another's eyes, it's harder to get angry or frustrated with our environment around us if we care genuinely for one another and soften.
And not take things personally. There's a book actually called The 4 Agreements that I recommend everybody reading. And one of them is like, if you don't take anything personally, this step will make you free. And that goes, I think, with, your friends with the signs in the yard and wanting to get out of town. And, just speaking to that is not to take it personally. And I think when we're able to practice that, then we're able to actually set boundaries in a healthy way. When we don't take it personally, but we might see something that we don't agree with, we can set the boundary of like, okay, maybe I'm not going to have this conversation with this particular individual. Or maybe it sets the boundary of hey, maybe I didn't know this person the way I thought I did, so maybe I should get to know this person on a deeper level, or maybe this person isn't for me, and we're able to identify that. And even going in with relationship, I think it's an important thing to talk about. Like, during COVID, I have heard so many people say, like, I've lost a lot of friendships, or I've lost in touch with a lot of friends. And yes, I think a lot of people have lost touch with each other because we are not in our routine of going to the yoga studio and seeing people face to face, and we don't reach out because we're like, oh, I don't want to bother that person, or oh, I don't want to, I don't want to interrupt their day, or they're probably doing fine. If they need something, they reach out to me. I think it's important to say, like, it is so important to reach out to those people in that moment that you second guess, like reaching out to somebody, count to 5 and do it. Like, just do it. And it'll definitely change somebody's day. It'll change your day. You'll feel better after you do that. Just allowing your brain to actually function in an interactive, loving way is something that has probably been turned off if you are not reaching out to people. And then on the other side of that coin, when I've heard, and it's happened for me, where I have lost a few friends in quarantine and through just the pandemic in general. And I think the important side of that is to look at, sometimes relationships expire. And when relationships expire, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a negative thing. It can be a very positive thing. And when relationships expire, we have the opportunity to recognize maybe what resentment does to our body. It makes us really closed off. It makes us feel ill. It makes us feel sick. It makes us feel hate. It makes us feel anger. And when we recognize what resentment does to our body, then we allow things to be what they are. Byron Katie is an amazing coach and inspirational human in my life. And she says, the grass is green, the sky is blue, dogs bark, cats meow, and what is. And I think that's a very powerful thing to say in moments that you might not agree with something that's happening, or you might feel that feeling of resentment coming up and being like, you know what is. Maybe this relationship expired, or maybe because of the pandemic, what is, but I also need to reach out to this person if it comes up into your mind.
If there's hurt to be undone, you be the one that does it. So what if once a day for the next 30 days, because let's face it, there's a lot of tension in the air. There's a lot of frustration and finger pointing, and I'm not arguing one side versus the other. All I'm suggesting is we each take a little step, one step every day, to begin to sort of diffuse, disarm, soften the situation. Now, we all don't have to be as needy as Lily right here, but in a, bake banana bread, take it to your neighbor, call someone and say, hey, I got something for you. Bring them a little bouquet of flowers. Put a surprise in their mailbox, mail them a letter, or pick up the phone and just call them. Not text like, hey, are you busy? Can I call you? Just call them.
Yeah, and if you don't have anybody to call, you can call one of us.
Yes.
We would love that.
Anytime.
And, too, with social interaction, we were just talking about this downstairs, but we were talking about how we've had many conversations with people who just can't get into the Zoom yoga because there is no human interaction or social interaction. And Nancy and I are really trying to turn that mentality and mindset around, because even on the other side of the camera, for us, it's really challenging too sometimes to get motivated when we show up and nobody wants to talk, or nobody wants to make eye contact or turn their camera on, which is totally fine if you don't feel comfortable turning your camera on. It's okay. But being able to you have permission to unmute yourself and to speak to anybody that's on the platform. And what's great about Zoom classes, I think, and what I've been celebrating, is on Zoom we don't have to wear face masks. So I can actually see somebody smile, and I can hear someone laugh, and see the expression of joy on someone's face. And so I encourage you, if you are, maybe in your day, if you're just I want to take class, but I'm kind of, I'm sick and tired of Zoom, and I need some interaction, then show up and interact. And because sometimes it just takes stepping up to the plate, and to create what a little step to the plate could create an extreme change.
And it's been fun to see people, even on Zoom, that I hadn't seen in a while. And because we have that blessing, we can connect.
Yeah, and sometimes, whenever you guys sign up in advance, and I go and I look and I see the roster, and I'm like, oh my God, I know that person loves to do this, so I'm gonna try to incorporate that into class. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy she signed up. I know she has a really stressful job, and it's very demanding, especially right now. Hell yeah, super excited she's coming. And that's what gives me a little bit more joy and a little bit more oomph to show up for classes. So also sign up in advance for classes so that we know you're coming, number one, but number two, so that we know what maybe you would want to learn, or we kind of know your style, or even send us an email or a message during the week saying, hey, I've got some hip stuff going on, or I want to work on my chaturanga, or I want to do something. Though we're not in a studio setting, we can keep the interaction going, and we can still really practice some true, amazing yoga together.
So remember this week, be the one. Pick up the rock out of the field, plant a tree, plant a seed.
Lend out a hand. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, namaste, everyone.
Namaste, Lily.
Lily, your opinion about